Hey Ashley,
Hi Andrea, how are you?
how was Thanksgiving?
It was pretty good. I went to San Francisco with my friends and one of my family's members. And you?
Oh,
What did you have?
oh, it was pretty interesting. I actually watched a movie about eating disorders with my cousin before having dinner with my family.
Oh my God, really? I watched a movie too. It was about psychological disorder too a few months ago. But what was your movie about?
Well, I think my movie focuses more on eating disorders. It was about people who were in their 20s, early 20s, and all of them lived in a rehabilitation house in LA. Most of them had eating problems. Either most of them specifically, they struggle eating, and so they were underweight, and they often displayed safety behaviors, helping them preserve unhealthy lifestyles. They also met. They also did group therapy once a week, and the group therapy, and the program in general was led by Dr. Beckman, and some of the main characters were Luke, who developed depression after he broke his leg dancing. Also, there was Megan, and she had an abortion during her stay at the rehabilitation, which made her wanting to leave the program, and she ended up leaving. And it also, no, one other character, it was Pierre. Um, he had constant seizures that led her to look older, although she was also a teenager. And there was also Ellie, and her mom forced her to go to rehab to stay on the program. What was your movie about?
My movie is The Florida Project. I don't know if you heard about that movie,
Uh-huh.
but it's mostly about a low income family. It talks about
Mm-hmm.
what the main characters are: a 6-year-old named Mooney and her mom, which she's a
Mm-hmm.
big cuckoo. Um, Haley and Mooney, they live in a budget motel near Disney World by Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it's basically a movie that explores daily struggles of family living in poverty. And it also shows that even though even the kids are living in that situation, they're trying to make it like positive, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Okay.
like their own magical world. And and the movie is a realistic look at a childhood poverty, showing how Mooney and her friends find ways to celebrate life during their difficult circumstances.
Okay.
Yeah, were there any characters specifically that caught your attention?
Well, yes, I actually had one. It was Ellen, but then she changed her name to Ellie. She's from downtown LA. She's 20 years old, and prior to move to the rehab house, she lived with her stepmom and stepsister. And her dad barely see her saw her because he was always working, and he constantly, I remember watching the movie, and her Ellen's stepmother say that her dad constantly suggests Ellen to pursue STEM career, although Ellie was also she was more influenced by art careers,
Mhm.
and yeah, she even had a Tumblr account, and she was famous, and she became famous about posting drawings about her body, and yeah, and actually one of her fans obsessed with her drawings, and she ended up committing suicide. What about you?
Wow, that's interesting. A character that stood out to me from the movie was the mom, Haley,
Mhm.
because I've noticed that that she doesn't take care of her daughter. Like her daughter is just living her own world.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the scenes, she just left like the motel and went to a different one to
Oh.
to go find more friends. And
Mhm.
then those two little girls, they were just like what's it called, run around the places. And Haley, she just not there for her child, and she
Oh.
doesn't have a stable job too, so she's in
Oh.
her own little world. And
Oh. Okay.
yeah, and then she shows several abnormal behaviors that affect both herself and her daughter in one.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you about. Like all you all you're saying like feels like looks really interesting. Like what were the behaviors that led you to believe that she was struggling with mental health?
Oh, I think Haley is struggling with mental health because the movie shows that she was very stressed
Mhm.
during because she was struggling financially,
Okay.
and she made poor decision which was not good because she would do it in front of her daughter, which is not safe. And several of her behaviors reminded me of substance use disorder according to the DSM-5 TR criteria, such as engaging in risky behaviors, neglecting responsibilities, and having difficulty controlling impulses. Even through the movie, it doesn't show her substance, but she would, like, during the scene where her daughter would be in the bathtub and she would be with other guys. So basically, she's just doing those stuff to get like, so it wouldn't affect her later on. She's just distracting herself.
Okay.
And yeah, what kind of abnormal behaviors does your character have?
Well, I think Ellie at first when I first watched the movie, um, I think she had anorexia nervosa because she celebrated she actually celebrated not eating the entire day. Also her facial expressions evidence her fear and disgust toward food, no matter if portions were small. And I also remember that she exercised the movie in the during the movie I observed her like exercising a lot no matter the time. And I remember there was a scene where she was exercising even at midnight. Do you have any idea of what disorder she may have?
I think my character Haley has shows some signs of depressants because
Yeah.
according to the DSF-5, this disorder includes behaviors like impulsivity, neglect, and engaging in risky activities. Like in the movie, Haley engages in stealing from stores. She manipulates customers, even the tourists, for money, and then she exposes Mooney to unsafe situation by leaving her unsupervised. And sometimes she would have anger issues a lot. She would just yell at people. And
Okay.
yeah, this shows in constant emotional control, shifting quickly from playful and frustration and desperate. These behaviors create an unstable environment for Minnie and her mom because,
Okay.
yeah, sorry, emotional and cognitive, how do you say, cognitive
Cognitive.
symptoms are also evident because Haley experienced stress, anxiety, love it. Which, yeah. Okay, so yeah, she felt overwhelmed, which made her behavior more impulsive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then these actions shows how her life shared socially and functionally.
Okay. Oh, well, I think my character has anorexia nervosa because according to the DSM-5, well, I can notice that some of the criteria that has to be met for anorexia, Ellie actually meets. like almost, well, all the criteria. Like first, okay, so according to the DSM, first she has to decide to eat less. And I was able to notice this because she kept eating small portions of food, although her family suggested that those portions were not supplying her um, with enough nutrients. There was also a scene in which I was like, oh my God, she actually decides to not eat because there was a scene during in which Luke, one of the characters, engaged into a whole ritual to make Ellie eat a brownie, you know, and although she although Luke tried to describe the size, the flavor, and like all details about the the brownie, Ellie still did not decide to eat the brownie. And yeah, also, um, Ellie, um, she met the criteria of having unhealthy weight. Actually, at the end of the movie, like before the end, Ellie, she escapes from the rehabilitation house, and Dr. Beckman calls her stepmom, and he expresses that he's worried about Ellie die because she actually started losing a lot of weight during her staying on the house. Um, also, I remember that before going to the rehab house, her stepmom, she was living with her stepmom, and Ellie had to weigh herself weekly and take pictures of her body in order for her to like keep living with her stepmom, just to make sure that she was not losing more weight. And also the DSM says that the individual has fear of gaining weight and takes action to avoid weight gain. Okay, so I can notice this because Ellie counts calories on every meal she had, although the meals she was having were relatively small, and they were about they had like healthy food. They were not like junk food. And yes, she also does a lot of sit-ups on her bed, which is not like a common place in which you will see someone exercising. And she also runs. She also likes to run up and down the stairs. And also, she I remember her stepmom mentioned that she stopped having antidepressants because she once threw them on the toilet just to avoid like gaining calories. And also, Ellie presents distorted to the body perception. I remember that on her first appointment with Dr. Beck, she told him that she actually was feeling healthy, and that the idea that her stepmom wanted to send her to a rehab house, it was pretty exaggerated. And yeah, and the last criteria, it's okay. So the mom, at one point of the movie, the mom mentioned that Ellie was struggling with eating disorders since her teenage years. So considering that she's 20, I assume that she meets the criteria of having persistent symptoms for at least three months, as it's stated in the DSM. Remember, like we should be cautious of what we see in the movies and think critically about them. Sometimes movies exaggerate some disorders in order to create morbid curiosity. which at the same time, which at the same time might create stereotypes of how these disorders look in real life. So, do you think your movie portrays like the disorder accurately or no?
In my opinion, my movie wasn't, it didn't show too much, but I know that it showed Haley's struggles in a pretty realistic way, even though they didn't say she had a disorder, but you could tell that she had some problems going on. Like she had anxiety, mental health. She was going through a lot because of money.
Okay.
And and then the moments how she struggles with things like emotional control and making safe choices, which fit with the DSM-5 of the substance use disorder and traits of borderline personality disorder. And at the
Mhm.
same time, the movie doesn't show everything, but her action was a little bit exaggerated. But I think it would be more realistic if the movie showed more like how Haley would feel inside,
Oh,
like
okay.
and like her stress or worries, even if they try to get to help her or support. That way, it would
Okay.
be more balanced and respectful way to show someone's dealing with.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. Like, okay, so I think my movie, well, I think it could have shown a more realistic perspective if they have dipped more into secondary characters' lives prior developing the disorder.
Mhm.
So in this way, this will help showing the effects of the disorders better, in my opinion. And I will also okay, so the movie ends when Ellie decides to go back to rehab after escaping, and I also think that it will be a good idea to show how her experience after going back to rehab, you know, so maybe the viewers can have like more hope if they're going through something similar and not just having um like that and like and that ambiguity after watching the movie and uncertainty after not knowing what will be how how Ellie will be after going back to rehab, you know? Like I think it will be really like it will make a lot of change if the director will like show like how Ellie's experience is after going back to rehab, you know? Yeah. I really like the movie. It was actually the second time I saw it, and it was I really like the characters. They're pretty funny. Yeah.
No, I like my movie too because it's well, it was funny and sad at the same time because
Um.
the mom was just basically like living her life on her own and her kid is just somewhere out there
Um.
lost, you know. But I feel like parents should like look out for them. But at the end of the movie, the motel manager, he noticed that she wasn't taking care of the child, like the mom wasn't taking care of the child. So what he did, he actually ended up calling CPS.
Oh,
And
okay.
it was sad because Mooney was lost. She's like, why are they talking to my mom? Like she did nothing. She's an amazing
Um.
mother. So
Well.
that made me feel sad about her because she doesn't know what's going on. She think everything
Um.
in her life is normal, which is not.
Maybe. Maybe we can watch these movies together, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I would
Oh.
love
Okay.
to.
Well.
Thank
Well.
you
We
for
can.
hearing me.
Thank you. Like. See you. See you tomorrow.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Bye.